Hi, this is Mark, back for another episode of My Little Patio Garden. And we're going to talk today about tying up your tomato plants so they don't run away. Actually, the reason you do that is because the tomatoes, when they grow, they get to be pretty good size and they're pretty heavy. And a lot of times, like you'll see on some of our vines, they've got 2 or 3 tomatoes on each one of those little vines, and that's quite a bit of weight. So what we need to do, as you can see, we've got several of these all already tied up, where those tomatoes have started to grow and get bigger and bigger. And if we did not tie these up, the branches with the tomatoes on them would lay over and eventually would just break off of the plant, or end up laying down in the dirt, and that would cause them to rot and insects to get into them. And we don't want that to happen. So what we're going to do, I'm going to show you how to tie up. See, this vine right here has got 4 tomatoes on it. And when those tomatoes get big, that's going to be a lot of weight on that one little vine. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a piece of string. Now, the best thing to use is really pantyhose or old nylons, because they're a little bit heavier, a little bit wider, and sometimes string will.
Well, Mark, the reason you want to use the pantyhose is if you can cut them across the legs, you will have a rubber band type stretching device that is really good to use to tie up.
But there you go. I say I just tied a little square knot up here on my tomato cage. You can buy these at any store pretty much that sells this kind of stuff. And I've wrapped it around behind the tomato, actually from between the tomato and the vine itself. That's why I've made my string go through. And that will hold that tomato vine up now, so when those tomatoes get bigger, they won't hang down to the ground and eventually break off. It will stay right there. And that is why and how you tie up your tomato plants, so that the tomatoes stay up in the air, they stay off the ground, and it trains the tomatoes, the main vine actually, to keep going straight up rather than branching out all over the place. It keeps everything into a nice tight area, so you can get, so everything stays where you can get to it and doesn't have it all across the ground.
So Mark, if people wanted to recycle their old pantyhose, cutting the legs across in strips of about 1 inch would be a really good way to recycle those pantyhose and use them to tie up their tomatoes. Isn't that right?
That's exactly right. Thank you for bringing that up, and that's a good way to do it. That's a good way to recycle your pantyhose and to keep your tomato plants healthy. So thanks for listening, and we certainly do appreciate your coming in to see us. Thank you very much. Until next time.